What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. Welcome to Fightful. Here with a name you know. You used to know him as NXT's Damon Kemp. You're going to know him as Bobby Steveson. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. It's great to have you. Listen, I always have a soft spot for amateur wrestlers turned pro wrestlers. Fascinated by the crossover, the transition, all that. But what I got to ask now is how are you feeling now that you are a free agent?
Uh, all right, I guess. A lot unknown, but a lot of good things lined up. It was a long 30 days, like a shock. Also, I guess you could say that. So now it's just more so just having to get things going, you know, without sitting around a lot. I guess is what you could say.
So, how did that conversation happen? Is it a phone call? Is it them asking you to come into the office at the PC? How are you sort of informed that WWE thinks that right now isn't the time to continue that relationship?
It was a phone call. Yeah, so I don't know. It was leading up to it. Um, I think wrestling kind of has this way of telling you that things aren't going the best. I don't know, without people being direct to you. So it kind of got a little weird with the guys getting to go to TNA, and I was getting left behind that, or without even being told that what was going on. But one of my boys told me, so he kept me in the loop with that. I was just the timing of it wasn't really adding up for me. Like it was adding up, but it was like, all right, they're doing this, so there must be something going on here. So and then I was trying to have a conversation. I won't say any names, just a heavily influenced person, part of the show. I was just asking, asked the person a few times. I was like, am I still part of the group? What are we doing? Or are we still moving forward? Or because I knew what my timeline was, or when my timeline was up, with the company, and I was just trying to figure it out because, like, I'm from Minnesota, and I drove it. Everyone travels to Orlando, so everyone drives pretty far. So I was just trying to figure it out. Moving forward. Like what are we doing? The shoot should be straight. I wouldn't take it personal at all. But no, I was just told everything was great. Doing great things. And we were pitched multiple stories that were going to happen down the road and stuff like that. But I didn't have anyone to talk to about when it came to the contract, because I guess um, there was just no one in that category, I guess, to reach out, whatever. And then I asked the person, I was like, "Oh, I like to stay." Like I was open to, like, I wanted to stay. It wasn't like my choice to be like, "Oh no, I'm going to UFC. I'm gonna go do this." Actually, like, I wanted to resign and be there. I enjoyed it, loved it. It was fun too. Like I never wrestled or did any pro wrestling before NXT. It was kind of just pretty much just I graduated 2020, and then COVID kind of messed a few things up, and then I signed for 3 years, and then so that was like the only thing I really knew about pro wrestling. But yeah, like then, like, the week later after I had that conversation, I was booked for TV. Yeah, so I was booked to be on TV, and they called me that Monday, and it's, "Oh yeah, we just chose not to resign you." And I was like, "Oh, ouch, stab in the heart, twist."
Did
But
they give you a reason or anything like that?
no, I don't think they really give a reason, but I was like kind of like taken off guard,
Sure.
like, so I didn't know what to really ask, because I knew just from asking, I have friends, friends that get released and they don't really get an answer either. So I was like, I don't really want to waste my breath. And at the time, I was just sitting at home by myself, so I was like, all right, trying to gather everything, like what happened, like the weeks before, like everything was going great, and then plus like the conversation you had with the person, and then things go like that, and I'm like, dang, that was like doing good. But then it was just, no hard feelings. I said it before, no hard feelings. I'll go back, but it was just like, oh, like, okay.
Yeah, it seems like based on the people that I've spoken to, and at least your demeanor here, it is a door is open in the future if the stars align, type of thing.
Hmm.
Have you spoken to anybody there since then about, like, maybe what they'd be looking for a return, or maybe what could have prevented it?
Yeah, I don't know, because, like, well, a lot of people that hire now, they're all they're all high level athletes, collegiate athletes. So I think a lot of us are like used to being coached. Like we can take negative criticism. Also, like just that just comes with being a Division One athlete. You're used to taking negative criticism and then just being told what to do. Like, hey, you need to do this. You need to bust your butt. You know, this will happen. You know, you're working towards this and stuff like that. And then it was more so just like, yeah, I don't really know. Kind of like still lost for words a little bit, I guess.
I mean, there's also for somebody that has had the background that you have as well. MMA is an option. There are a lot of different paths that someone could go down. Is that something that you've ever been interested in, or that you're interested in now?
A little bit, got a little interest in there, but like I said, I was wrestling for 3 years, like pro wrestling for 3 years. Like, you know, you invest so much in those 3 years, like you just don't want to like drop everything. So like that's where I'm at. I don't want to just like go
Of course.
throw away those 3 years and just like go try something else, you know. So I feel like well, I want to just to keep wrestling. I want to get in with another big company, you know. I like you know, I want to wrestle everywhere and anywhere. You know, I want to be able to see the world. You know, being with WWE and like NXT, like you get to meet a lot of different people from different cultures and stuff like that. So that was also pretty cool getting to like see those type of people. So now it's like I want the opportunity to be able to travel to where those people are from, like Japan, you know, the UK, you know, everywhere there's a squared circle I want to be on.
So, I mean, when I would ask about you at the Performance Center, I would hear about how quickly you were picking things up. That sometimes can happen, especially with people with an amateur wrestling background. What things did you find easiest to pick up? Like there were some people that said taking bumps wasn't that hard. I did break falls for most of my life. Was there anything specifically for you that was either easier or more difficult to get into as you got into training?
The easiest thing was definitely just the wrestling. You know, just my whole life being an amateur wrestler, you're used to like grabbing someone. You know how to move on the mat. You know how someone else to move. You know how to pick someone up and put them down without breaking their back or anything like that. And so like the wrestling part, that was like the easiest thing to do. You know but then obviously like, one of the harder things was just like opening up, like being more of a character. Because in amateur wrestling, you're just taught to be like straight face. You know, be a
Sure.
killer. You know, don't show any emotion. You show any emotion, your opponent thinks you're tired. You can't show that. So like with pro wrestling, it was more so just like learning how to open up and just be a character and not really give a crap what other people think because they want to see that out of you. Because if well, you know how it goes. If you're just being you know, a potato on the TV, people are like, all right, what's this guy doing? I'm like, we don't care about this, you know. So like, I really worked hard on just like opening up and then just being as over the top as I can because I didn't care about looking. I just learned to not care about looking stupid, and I give a lot of credit to Terry Taylor because I was in his class for a lot of the time. I was at the PC. He was just like always be over the top, like you just be larger in life. Like if you get punched in the face, you know, just be over the top, you know. So I like him being in his class for like the majority of the time I was there really helped me just to like not give a crap and just like be a goofball in there, you know, just be a heel and get your butt whooped when it's time to get your butt whooped and do the best you can as doing it.
You had the unique opportunity to work. Like you worked a variety of different shows. It was like 205 Live, Level Up, regular NXT, the 2.0 version. I think even UK. How would you compare those environments? I know that some of them that are sort of filmed together have a very similar environment, but there might be like some television constraints that people don't know about. Was there any that you specifically preferred?
Obviously live TV. But no, Level Up and well, it's pretty much the same as 205 Live in my opinion. But obviously, everyone on 205 Live was the cruiserweights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so then like Level Up and stuff like that. I think the show started at like 40 minutes before live TV started, just to give people reps and just put new people out there, or even give like the veterans give them a new person just to work with, and everyone gets work. Getting a good rep. Obviously the live TV, but obviously there's I didn't know how much stress it was until I got onto live TV, which was like pretty damn quick. because I did the thing with Diamond Mine, and then those guys were rolling, so I had to get rolling rather quickly too, or she just looked like a flop out there. So it was more so just like I didn't know like the times getting cut during matches, so like having to improvise, like, hey, we thought you had 4 minutes, but you actually had two, so let's get going home. Then you gotta like think about how you cut your stuff out without making it looking like garbage and stuff like that. So I had to adjust to that pretty quick, and I think that was pretty. I would say that was pretty rough. I think it was like. I think it was kind of exciting a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, it seemed like you transitioned in and out of that really well. It seems like you adapted to a lot of what was given to you pretty well, but also they certainly understood your strengths and your background because there was Diamond Mine and No Quarter Cash Club and things like that. When you're pitched things like that, how do you feel? How do you respond? Because obviously that's something that's going to be not just right up your alley, but second nature to you.
Yeah, so getting to work with Diamond Mine, the Creeds, like we all had the same background. We all knew each other before we signed, so that was like kind of cool. And me and Brutus actually wrestled in college, so it's kind of cool just to see like, yeah, it was kind of cool to be able to like compete with one another as a sense like trying to rip each other's heads off in amateur, but then you get to come to pro wrestling, like you get to see a whole different side of someone and like get to be able to create with them, and like especially when you get to work with them and like you both want to like look the best and whatever we got to do. But and then the same thing with No Quarter Cash. Both the crews, both of the factions were a lot of similar in my opinion. Like when we were doing the stuff with the Creeds and Diamond Mine, we were all really technical. We were portrayed as like real good wrestlers, like grapplers. We rather throw you than know you type of people. And then the North Quarter Catch Crew was more so just like feet stay on the ground. We're grapplers. We're gonna bend you 20 different ways. So a lot of both the groups were kind of similar, but also had their differences also. But both were great groups.
So during your time, I mentioned like all the variety of NXT shows. You also got to work main event. I'm the guy who still watches main event at this point.
Yeah,
so I'm familiar with all these and I love it because I get to see guys from NXT, girls from NXT work main roster people.
Mm-hmm.
You had the opportunity to work, I believe it was Shelton and Tyler Bate.
Yeah.
On main event. What were those experiences like?
So it was like, here's the thing. So like every time I have something good going for myself, I always find myself in an obstacle to like get there. So like when I got the call for Shelton Benjamin, it was a Saturday night. I was in Wisconsin visiting my boy for his birthday. I was only like 9 months in.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 months in. So I was new. And I didn't know it was a rookie thing to like, well, don't forget your gear. If you travel somewhere, bring your gear. So I was like, crap. And all right, so I was in Wisconsin. And then I didn't bring my gear. And then I was like, oh, crap. So they booked my flight to fly back because they wanted me to fly out Sunday. So I flew back to Orlando at like 4 or whatever. Then I had to hop on another flight. I forgot the times, but I just remember getting into, it was Oklahoma, like super like 2 a.m. I had to get up the next day, and then I had to wrestle on like my biggest show ever because like I had no idea what I was in store for. Like, keep in mind, I thought the call wasn't going to be a good call because like whenever you see whenever you see a random 203 number pop up, I was like, bro, like not now, not when I'm celebrating my boy's birthday. Like this can't be happening now. And then so that happened, and then so the match with Shelton, that was like a big a match I really wanted to happen because he went to the University of Minnesota.
Yeah, of course.
And then I went there too. Then you hear the stories because the coaches that are there now, they used to wrestle with Shelton and Lesnar. So you get to hear all the fun stories and, the back in the college stories and stuff like that. So when I found out I was wrestling him, I was like, oh crap, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be real cool. And then this was my first time like actually being able to interact with like the main roster talent. So like I wrestled Shelton. I forgot where it was at, somewhere in Oklahoma, one of the big stadiums. And I think at the time there was like 14,000 people there, and I was like, oh crap. And I remember William Regal, he was like before I went out there, he was like, hey, just make sure you breathe, because like being new, like you go out there, you see all of that, you tend to like choke up a little bit. So before I run out, Regal was like, "Hey, just make sure you're breathing out there, you're moving, you're thinking. Like, don't let the big crowd shock you." And so that was pretty cool just to have Regal, a part of that also. And then the match with Shelton happened. It was just before that. I keep bouncing all over the place. Edge. That was like the first time I actually got a good conversation with him. And I was like, "Oh crap, it's Edge." I was pretty sick. And then he was like giving me like pointers and tips before I went out after, and he helped. He kind of like orchestrated the match with me and Shelton a little bit, And I really appreciate Shelton for doing that too, because he really helped me like display what I could do. Even though with being 9 months in, he easily could have been like, "Oh man, I gotta wrestle the young guy. Let me smash him in, 7 minutes." But he really put me on and gave me the opportunity to like really display what I can do and everything like that. And so I really appreciate that. So like back to Edge. I didn't know like the style up there was like a lot slower compared to NXT, because NXT we're always taught to like go, 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 no movement. Like, I mean, all movement, don't stay there. You need to go, 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 go. So like that's how I brought the style up there to main event. Like I didn't know anything, so I was like going fast. So like right when me and Shelton went to go wrestle, I was moving a little bit faster, trying to move, and he was like, "Hey, slow down." And I was like, "All right." He's like, "I try to go again." He's like, "Slow down even more." I'm like, uh. "All right." And I felt like I was moving like a turtle out there, but I guess like just different audience and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
NXT audience, those guys, those people there are there every Tuesday, and then versus like you go into the random stadium in Oklahoma, you might get random families that might see it on the Ticketmaster wrestling's in town, and then they go. So you got to kind of dumb it down for them. So like going slower, a few punches were a little bit like they were good, but it's too fast. Like slow down. And I was like, "Dude, I'm punching you, but I don't want to look like slop." I was the new guy. I was trying to like show out a
Yeah.
little bit because I know who was watching in Gorilla. And then so I get back and it was really cool. Edge was like he was the first dude to like meet us behind the curtain. So I was like, "Oh, like it was just mind blowing for me." 9 months in, you just came off a big match, and then so he gave me a lot of input, so that was pretty cool to be able to do that, and just to like, I sat in the gorilla the rest of the night just to like learn. I sat in on people's matches and just to hear them. You know, you want to be a big star, so you got to surround yourself by the big stars. So if you want to be in their position, you got to surround yourself by them. So I'll just listen to what Cody Rhodes was saying, or whoever was playing the match. I'll like try to like butt in a little bit without making it look like I was butting in, just to like hear how the big dogs do it. And then yeah, wrestling Tyler Bate, that was awesome too. That was actually in the American Airlines Center. That was pretty cool too. He's great. He's a great talent. I love his style. I love the Johnny Saint stuff he does. Like when I went to the UK, I got to work with Johnny Saint a little bit and like to learn the little tricks, because I don't know why. Like being a big person, it always fascinated me to be like a little bit more be technical, like the
Sure.
little guys. So it was like that was always the thing that I enjoyed. But no, they were both great. They were both amazing matches, and just
Were there
fun
any
experience overall.
were there any guest coaches along the way that you particularly took a lot from? Like, you never know who you'll hear that might drop in at the PC or anything like that, and just be
Mhm.
there for tapings or there to coach or anything like that along the way.
Uh, I didn't really. Yeah, I mean they're all great coaches there, but I think the people that really were like a surprise to me to see there. So we were on TV. Seth Rollins, he was like he was watching the show, but thankfully I was on the show to be able to get his input. Because top dude, you want to know what they're thinking, so you can like work on that. And then so he watched the show. We got I got good input and feedback from him. But the other great one was Cody Rhodes after my main event match with Tyler Bate. Uh, I was in the locker room, and I guess he was getting ready with he was doing something with Jey Uso, and I was just sitting in the locker room, just watching the show on the TVs. He comes over, he was like, "Hey," he like daps me up a little bit. He was like, "Oh, that was good stuff out there. I really appreciate that," because top dude, like you don't want any at WWE's hot, so you want everyone to be on their A game when they're out there. So when he came over to me and said like, "Hey, great job," like, you look like you belonged out there, and I was like, one of those things like, let me pinch myself real quick. You know what I mean? Cody Rhodes talking.
Yeah.
So, so when he said that, it was one of those things. It was like because like you question yourself a lot in the wrestling business, if you're doing good, if you're doing the right things, or if people are enjoying what you're seeing. And then when Cody Rhodes came over to me, and showed me some love in the locker room, I was like, all right, I'm doing something right. Just keep my head on straight and just stay focused because, you know, the biggest dog in the company is, is showing you love. So you must be doing something right. And then, yeah, that was pretty cool. That was another good thing about being able to go up on those main event matches, being around those top guys in the locker room too.
So after you had announced that you would be leaving WWE, they did I think it was after that, they did the parking lot segment.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to seeing that? Because it's sort of like a rib as well, that the parking lot always claims another victim.
Yeah, the parking lot is a deadly place. Uh, so yeah, like I said, I got the call on Monday, and then I was just obviously you just don't go on the TV because if you're not being resigned. And then so I guess like the guys are telling me, and I was just being told like, hey, we don't know what we're doing yet. We're just like waiting around because like we don't have a script or anything like that. So I'm assuming that like they had to like flip flop a lot of things because like right when I was called, I just like announced that I was like not being
Yeah.
resigned. So I don't know if they had to like flip flop a lot of things apart I think on that script because they weren't telling them anything. And then I tuned in, I watched it, and I was like, oh, I gotta do it somehow. At least I didn't end up swimming with the fishes, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, you're not dead on their
yeah.
TV show as of yet.
I'm
At
just
least that
hiding.
we know of.
Yeah, I'm hiding in the trunk until I get hopefully another call to bust out.
What were your feelings when you saw that? Were you like, at least it's that way?
Obviously it hurt.
Sure.
I was like, dang, man. I was like, I was watching. I had to laugh about it. And I put a funny tweet out because me and Miles Bourne were pretty close. I
Mhm.
just put a tweet out and I was like, "Oh, shout out to Miles Bourne for keeping the AC on for me and being in the trunk." Had a fun laugh with that, but I know obviously it hurt because like you didn't expect it to be you, being written off like that. But I had to laugh about it, but I also had a few frowns about it. But I guess you got to write someone off somehow.
Very, very early into your in-ring run, they had you feuding with Roderick Strong, and I mean, I know that the original point of Diamond Mine was to help elevate an awful lot of people with some at least legitimate skills in that regard. How was that working with him? I think you teamed with him, and you ended up facing him quite a few
Yeah,
times before joining Diamond Mine as well.
yeah. So I think the one regret I have is not asking him a lot more questions about his work and just learning what wrestling was because at the time, dude, I think I was 5 months in when I got to wrestling Dynamite, and I didn't know like the etiquette of like just like pick the veteran's brain and just like get to know their background and how they work, what you can work on, taking them aside and like getting in the ring with them. So I didn't really, I was still learning what the business was. So like I didn't know what to like how to approach them like asking because I didn't want to seem like a bother. Or so that's one thing that I do regret because like I said, I didn't come from a pro wrestling background, so like, I knew who the stars were growing up, but I wasn't the guy that was watching it religiously. It was not. It was not. It wasn't because I didn't like wrestling. It was just wasn't. It just wasn't what I was into at the time growing up. So, but now that I look back and I seen like, and I obviously wasn't watching NXT until like I started getting the hiring process, and I watched every show and every Monday and Friday night show, and then so like you look back now, you get to see what he did in like Undisputed Era, and just like going back and watch some of his matches. And I was like, man, I really wish I was able to like get in the ring with the guy and just like pick his brain and just like learn more instead of just like I'm saying I wasn't being nonchalant in any way or shape or form. It was just more so just like showing up to work and then doing what we had to do for promo or do the match and then just be done with it. So I wish I was able to just pick his brain more. I think that just came with inexperience too, just like not knowing what pro wrestling was and just how to go about it. But teaming with him, it was great. But just so much experience because like like I mentioned, 5 months in, you tend to walk your matches through step by step. A guy like that who's been doing it for so long with the pedigree he has, he's not going to want to talk about everything step by step by step
Of
by
course.
step by step. So that was a big learning thing for me too. It's just like, hey, when we go out there, you don't necessarily have to call your shine in the back. You can, call it out there, but obviously his experience was way different than mine. So like, and then we did the things, the Great American Bash with the Creeds, when no, he didn't really call his heat. He just kind of went out there and just did it. You know, I was still new, so I'm like, hey, want him to punch you here, do this, boom, 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 boom. And then him doing it, he just went out there and did it. So I was like, oh crap, you know, this is like, if I can just learn to go out there and just like do it and like be able to call a lot of things out there, it would probably take like so much stress off in the back. Having to be like, hey, cut off is this. I'm gonna punch you here. You're gonna roll here. I'm gonna punch you here, kick you here. Versus just going out there and then just doing it, so it feels a lot more organic. And then plus, it just takes so much stress off the back. Cause like the last thing for me was wanting my matches to look so choreographed. You know, I did not want that. So like, I eventually got to the point. I'm sure a lot of people get to the point too. Like it just comes with the learning of what wrestling is. Like you're not going to be calling your matches in the out there, you know, when you're 2 months in, you know, brand new. So eventually, just it helped me a lot with working with him, just to like make it a point to like even like on the house shows, just to like, hey, I'll call my shine to you out there. I'll call the heat to you out there. And if I be fuck it up out there, my bad. I swear. I was like, if we screw it up out there, you know, it's a house show, but it's also a learning opportunity too. So, you know, yeah, being able to work with a guy like that, it really helped a lot. Even though he doesn't know it, it helped a lot.
You also have the endorsement of Gerald Brisco, which does not come
Yeah,
lightly. It does not come
yeah,
lightly in pro
yeah,
wrestling
great dude.
circles.
Dude, so when I came down for my tryout, he came and watched. So
Yeah.
he came and watched, and I did my tryout, and we went to Texas Roadhouse for dinner. They took me to Texas Roadhouse for dinner, and I remember it because I forgot what it was like. A little like you know those little Texas Roadhouse things you write your name on it. If you bring it, you get like a 2 for 1. Something I don't know. It's a little card thing. I still have it saved because I always wanted to like be able to like come back to that with him. You know, hey, remember like 10 years ago you took me to Texas Roadhouse. I still have the Texas Roadhouse little. It literally just looked like this, but said Texas Roadhouse on it. And I remember the waitress gave it to us, and I remember I put it in my wallet and I saved it because I wanted to like something to like look back on when like having dinner with Briscoe. But yeah.
I mean, it's always great to see a guy that is revered like that endorsing you.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm always interested in how NXT names are developed because obviously you had a name that was familiar and they switched it to Damon Kemp. Did you have any input in that or how did that process go?
I wanted to keep it. I wanted to
Okay.
keep it because I felt like I already made a good name for myself before I
Yeah.
got here. So I was like, why switch it? Like it was kind of like a restart. But so how they go about names is just like you get closer to TV and they want to do something with you, they'll give you options for a name. So like what I did was you send them a bunch of options, and if they like it, they don't, and they just keep going eventually, or they'll pick something for you. So what I did was I would write down, I Googled, I typed in cool names for guys, first names, and they all popped up. So then I wrote them all down, and then I typed in cool last names for guys, and they all popped up. So I like wrote first and last names right here, and then I kind of just like drew a line here, drew a line there, 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 there. Then I submitted them, and then it's funny because my other option for my first name was Diego. They were like, "Oh, you want to do Diego or Damon?" And I was like, I look like a Diego. Let's do Damon." So I went with Damon, and then it was funny because literally my name, like I did a 205 live with Andre Chase, and then
Yep.
I looked at like Twitter on like that Friday night, and I seen that there was a guy that murdered people in like
Oh,
Daytona. His name was Damon Kemp also.
oh
And I was
no.
like, yeah. And it was literally all over the news. And then I told one of the guys, I was like, hey yo, there's a serial killer out there from Daytona named Damon Kemp, right? And like, should we change it? This is a bad thing. And then, oh no, I'll just leave it. It wasn't that big of a deal. Like it didn't make that much news. I'm like, dude, look at NBC. It's on the news.
I'm looking now. Like, dude got life in prison.
Yeah. And I was like, the first thing they're gonna see until I actually make a name for myself is a guy's mugshot with the same name as me.
Wild.
And yeah, so then I kept the name. So I was like, all right, cool. But yeah, that's how they do the names. You just pick a bunch of random names and hopefully whatever you throw at the wall sticks. That's how it went.
Were there any pitches or ideas that you wish would have came to fruition in NXT that maybe didn't?
Guess everyone wants to win a belt, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone wants to win a belt, but it was one of those things I would never go. You just don't go pitch. Hey man, I think I should win the championship tonight, and then that's just cringy. You know?
That's an old Bob Holly story because Bruce
Yeah.
Pritchard is always like, yeah, Bob Holly would just say, I got an idea. Let me beat everybody and give me the belt.
Yeah. So I was like, obviously everyone wants a belt, but I don't think. No, I was always pitching a lot of ideas. I pitched a lot. You know, even like when things were like going real good, I would still like pitch a lot of funny stuff. You know, just because like I wanted to show another side of myself because like everyone knew I was serious. So it was just like, all right, how can I not be? How can I show another layer? Because like I could be funny. Like I'm a funny person, you know. And I was pitching a lot more funny stuff, and then it took a little bit, but it just got a lot of things to work on. So like eventually, you know, with the group I was with before, we finally started to get some like to show some personality, like being able to open up and just like mess around in these pre-tapes, you know, without being serious. And like I think some of our best pre-tapes were when we were given the script, but we didn't really necessarily say everything that was on the script because we were just like joking around a lot. And it was like a lot of fun because we were all used to being serious. And then finally being able to like open up and it was like, oh, this saw feels to like, you know, be a little bit more loose, not have to be scrunched faced up for a pre-tape. But yeah, I kind of rambled on there, but
No. I mean, listen, we're here to hear you talk.
yeah.
Before we wrap up, I saw you tweeting about NCAA 25. Who's your NCAA 25 team?
Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Well, I'm not a bandwagon. I'll give you guys that. So my dad's from Michigan, and so another reason why I'm such a big Tom Brady fan because Brady played for Michigan. So
Sure.
growing up, we would always hear about Tom Brady in Michigan, and then you know how big Michigan. Well, they're still big, but even back then, I heard stories of like my dad getting mad, and, like punching the refrigerator over the games and stuff like that. So it was like we were growing up, and we got family in Michigan too, and then hear about Tom Brady, hear about Michigan. So we just grew up just like liking Michigan and then liking Tom Brady. So everyone always gives me crap. Oh, you only like Tom Brady because he wins. I was like, no, I was actually in first grade with my little matching Patriots gloves and my boots at recess, you know. So I went way back with it. Yeah, Michigan's my team though.
Who's your NFL team? I mean, obviously your brother was trying out for the Bills, was doing that throughout the summer. Do you have an NFL team?
The Vikings.
Figured because of the geographical location there.
Yeah, but before it was people were trying to say I'm a bandwagon because I like the Patriots. I like the Patriots because of Tom Brady, but it wasn't like it's not my fault he went on to win all those rings. You know, it ain't my fault. And then I was a Bucks fan. You know, once again, Tom Brady. I love Gronkowski also. And then now I was like, they're both retired. I was like, all right. So Vikings.
What did you think? I don't know if you were even there yet when Gronk did his WWE stuff. Did you hear the fables of his of how they taped his segment? I heard it took them quite a while. Oh my gosh, no. I heard it held up the WrestleMania tapings by like 2 hours trying to talk him into doing that spot where he jumped off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, jeez.
That's wild.
Yeah, I remember seeing clips of it. I definitely didn't see it live though.
What is something you want the world to know about Bobby Steveson that they might not know as you pursue free agency now? And you've said any ring, anywhere.
Oh yeah, I do too. I'm a man of many talents. You know, my life was never determined by the squared circle or a wrestling mat. You know, me and my good friend Ethan Carl, he's a country singer. You know, before it was like 4 years ago, I put a country song on YouTube, just under Bobby Steveson. So if you look it up, the song's called "Ain't Gone," and I put that out. I was like in someone's basement, and I put it out because I'm a huge country music fan. And then so me and my boy Ethan Carl, we filmed the song last week. It's currently being mixed, and it's gonna drop within the next few weeks. Another big thing, I just signed with a talent agency, so I'm looking to be in TV shows, commercials, and possible movies. I just did a few reads for a few as a police officer in a movie and then security guard in another movie. So just waiting to hear back if I get the role or not. But yeah, just man of many talents. Hopefully you see me on the screen. Giving someone a German suplex through the ceiling, or in a fun role in a movie or a TV show or even a commercial. So
Bobby Steveson, it's been awesome. Can't wait to see what you do next. Guys, make sure you follow, make sure you support this fella. Lots of cool stuff coming from music to the screen to in the ring. Bobby, thank you so much for joining us.
no, man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Until next time, guys, we're out.